started to, instead of just sitting and coding, because I think that's like a vice. I don't know if it's appropriate to use this word, but it's like we program as people who you also program, right?
I've done a little bit, but the thing is that like what I've seen over and over again, and I'll be honest, I'm guilty of different times that like I have developed, like I've written books, I've developed training courses, like a lot of different products. And the thing is, like, entrepreneurs sometimes get caught up in that idea that like, oh, this is something that like everyone's going to want to buy, because it's great and all that kind of stuff. And whether we call it a vice or otherwise, it's the biggest mistake that like your typical entrepreneur makes, that they fall in love with this idea that they've put all this time and money, different times, and invested it, and then they when they push the publish button, or they kind of put it on the store and stuff, then they go and you hear crickets and they wonder, wait a minute, like this is so basic, how come nobody wants to buy it? And that's the thing that luckily you're discovering, that like you've got to validate, you've got to put it out there before that, and see like what people's response is.
Yeah, and also I think people who know how to code, they have an additional problem. I agree completely with what you just said, but we have another problem. That's this: when you have an idea, you just want to jump into coding. So you just want to sit on the computer and start coding. And the fact is that you can have an idea that's really, it takes like 10 minutes to just have this idea. But if you sit to code, you're going to take like several weeks to have something to look at and to see, oh, okay, so this was my idea. So to just validate what you had idea. So what I want to train is like a form of having my ideas and try to transform them into something that you can see quicker. So that's why that process by Apple was so good. It's not like an Apple process, it's a process that many designers do around the world. That I am basing in a video that I watched from them that was really cool. Is the fact that in like 1 or 2 hours since you had the idea, you can just draw some slides, keynote, and then you can have exactly the idea of how your app is going to look. So instead of having to have one idea, choose one idea that you're going to have to commit to it and then spend like weeks developing it, you can like 1 hour have something from your idea and then do something about it. So you can, for example, in one day you can try 3 or 4 or 5 ideas quickly. The thing is, at some point when you start to do these quick sketches using Keynote and you start taking your ideas and putting to paper, you have something that you can go around and show people. So this is the link where when I started to show people on the street, I first was in that stage of just doing prototypes, and then just by putting on paper, it makes it easier to sit down and code, because now you know in what direction you're going. So I started to make like quick prototypes in a week or so, and I had a friend that suggested me, so how about we make an app when you go to the shopping mall and start showing people there? And I never thought of that before. I was just thinking of making quick prototypes and then showing people over the internet, or I don't know. But then he gave me that idea. Then I just thought, well, that's it. That's what I'm going to do. So I started making a prototype and then went to the street and showing everybody I could find on the street, showing my prototype and getting their feedback. So one of the first apps where I started in this was an app that was the purpose of the app is to split a bill when you go to a bar or restaurant. Well, when I go out with my friends, it always happens that, for example, there's some people that drink a lot, some people that don't drink, and then at the end, everybody's making calculations to know how much each one paid. So I had this idea for the app. I know it's not original. There are like dozens of apps that do the same thing. But using that process of just taking the idea from your head and putting it into a Keynote slideshow, so I managed to get this idea in like 1 or 2 hours. I had something that I thought it was interesting. So I sat down. I spent a week developing my first prototype, and then I started going to bars and restaurants in my city and just going to the tables and speaking to people, presenting myself. Oh, okay, I would like to show you an app. Okay, can you give me your feedback? So I showed a lot of people. And it was really cool because at some point I got addicted to just talking to random people on the street about my ass. And it was really cool because when I was showing them the app, I was not just getting their feedback. I was also testing because for like I present to around 300 people in this period of development. So I had to use my app like 300 times. So at some point, there are things that when you're doing, you kind of feel embarrassed because when you are demonstrating to people, you see that what you're doing is not easy to do, is not really interesting. So kind of you learn how your app is hard to use because you have to use it a lot.
Right.
Also I try to give it to other people, so they try to use, so I got a lot of cool feedback as well. And it's really cool because if you spend a lot of time doing this and you are really improve your app, even though people are really polite, every time they are polite, they're never going to say, oh, your app sucks, or they're going to be encouraging. They're going to say, okay, oh, that's really cool, you should pursue this way. But if you're doing this for a long time and you're really improving the software, what happens is you feel that the feedback keeps improving. So even though all feedback is positive, like encouraging, you see that as your app is getting better, the feedback is relatively, comparatively with the first feedback, is getting better. Because at the beginning people say, oh, that's okay, but at some point they say, wow, the app is really cool, and then it's an amazing experience to just do that, and I kind of got addicted to that.
Awesome.